Glad to have you with us on Good Karma Wrestling, along with Brian Rhodes from ESPN West Palm. I'm Jonathan Hood from ESPN Chicago. And Brian, of course, the A-Town's going to get the very best, all elite wrestling, right? You would think, oh, the hot story in Chicago, Cubs first place, Bears upcoming season. No, 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 no. You know what the hot story is? All elite wrestling lands in Chicago for a great amount of shows at Byline Bank Aragon Ballroom. Dynamite and Collision is going to be their residency happening in an A-town like my hometown. As we turn to the CEO and president of All Elite Wrestling, Tony Khan is back with us here on Good Karma Wrestling. Tony, as always, we appreciate the time.
It's great to see you both. Thanks for having me on with you. I'm excited about tonight, Wednesday Night Dynamite, tonight, live on TBS and HBO Max and here in Chicago.
Listen, I know you're always repping Champaign, Urbana. Okay, I know that's what, but you're really Chicago, Tony. Well, you know, like that. This is your city.
I'm
This
here
is
at
your
my
town.
parents' house. I'm sitting in my dad's office in front of a Chagall and doing this here with you in Chicago in my dad's office at home. So it's great.
2 weeks in Chicago, Tony. From a work standpoint, how does it make things easier and make the product better to have a home base like Chicago for 2 weeks?
Well, 3 weeks. We're going to be here for 3 weeks. 3 weeks, 6 shows in 3 weeks. To your point, Brian, it's going to be great. We've been bringing that Daly's Place mentality that served us so well over the years on the road, that classic AEW feel. And right now, AEW is the best it's ever been. And I think right now it's perfect timing to come to a city that's so important to AEW. And we're having 6 shows across the next 3 weeks, starting tonight. It's going to be standing room only now tonight at the Aragon Ballroom. But if you want to come see AEW in person, I highly recommend coming tomorrow. There's great seats also available tomorrow for Thursday night for the AEW Collision event at Aragon Ballroom. But tonight, it's still some standing room seats. And I highly also recommend checking the show out tonight on HBO Max or on TBS. It's on TBS. We've been on TBS for years. Now we're also streaming on HBO Max. It's one of the many reasons that we're having, I think, the best AEW year ever right now in 2025. Thanks to the great fans checking the shows out live and in person here in Chicago and watching every week on TBS, the Superstation, TBS, and HBO Max.
Tony, I said on the show that I feel like when you're putting shows together that you want all of us to raise a level of where you are as a fan. Not like wrestling, not kind of love wrestling, but really, really love wrestling. And I think that the big litmus test was All In and also ROH Super Card of Honor. Awesome shows. Where do you place this past weekend versus others in AEW history?
It's certainly my favorite weekend in the history of AEW. I think it's our biggest and best event ever. And it's our biggest show we've ever done in terms of the biggest crowd and best ticket sales ever in North America. And here on our home continent where we've established AEW, we've really built our biggest event ever. And also the place where we've had our most success, which is also now a home to AEW, is the UK. We've had 81,000 fans at Wembley Stadium. We'll be back at Wembley Stadium next year. London is so important to AEW. Also a home to AEW, but here in North America, this show we did, AEW All in Texas, is the biggest and most excitable, passionate show we've ever done in so many ways. And it was the culmination of so many great rivalries and the beginning of new rivalries. And it's all going to kick off tonight on Wednesday Night Dynamite here in Chicago. And the shows are just going to be so awesome and build for the next 3 weeks. We're going to have such great support in Chicago, and going from the big packed stadium to the big venue that I think, even though it's not the largest venue in size, the passion, the excitement in a packed house in the Aragon Ballroom is going to be awesome. And it's going to be a fun time in the ballroom. It's going to be truly a ballroom blitz. It's going to be something very, very special to have AEW coming to Chicago from the Aragon Ballroom, a packed house, and on in over 150 countries, watching AEW all over the world. It's been our best year ever, and thanks to the great fans watching AEW every week, we've been able to put on not only the best pay-per-views in wrestling like we've been doing for many years, but also I think having our best run week to week of television right now across Dynamite and Collision. which are both going to be here, both shows every week for the next 3 weeks here in Chicago. You can get your tickets now at AEWTIX.com.
We've talked a lot on this show about how AEW is just clicking right now. It's hot. Everything's working. From your perspective, why are things working so well right now?
We have the best roster of wrestlers in the world. I love working with the top talent, and we have such great fans that are supporting the show, and the support is really built. We've made new fans. We've never streamed before live week to week for the shows here in America. Now we've got HBO Max as a great partner, but also on TBS on Wednesday nights, like tonight on AEW Wednesday Night Dynamite tonight. Every Wednesday night, we've been consistently growing and building the audience over the past few quarters on TBS. And also for Saturday Night Collision on TNT, which is actually going to be Thursday this week here in Chicago. We've been building that audience on TNT. So the last few quarters, we saw Q4. We started streaming the show, and people thought it might cannibalize, take away from the cable audience. But we actually built Q4 to Q1 2025 went up, and then we just ended Q2 at the end of this past month, June, and we saw Q2 was up from Q1 on both TBS Wednesday nights, like tonight, and TNT on the weekend. So we've really got something really special going. We've grown our cable audience, which is always awesome to have a success story on cable in 2025. And we're doing our best run of shows on TV. I think the crew of wrestlers we're using right now is awesome. And it's like a sports team. You can only use so many people at once. We have a really deep roster. And when people have gotten injured, other people have stepped up. And that's how wrestling works. I know that there's other people that aren't on the show this week necessarily or next week that in time, as people get injured or things change, that are going to step into important roles. And that's what a deep bench is about. And right now, AEW has our tightest, best, most focused roster of wrestlers. I think AEW has the best top to bottom roster, and I think that AEW is where the best wrestle, and we're going to show that tonight on TBS and HBO Max and live right here in Chicago this week for AEW Wednesday Night Dynamite and Collision.
And Collision, yes, don't forget Collision. ROH is going to have some shows though too, right? There's going to be some matches. Don't forget about them. ROH.
Absolutely, but ROH is doing some great stuff coming off of Supercard of Honor. It's a great show. We love filming the ROH shows because ROH is a smaller promotion. It has a great history. It doesn't necessarily have the budget or the resources of AEW. So it's great collaborating the companies, having the great ROH championships and champions and some of the top ROH stars also participating in the AEW shows, and then having collaboration between the companies, including filming some of the ROH TV here at some of these Collision events. And there's been great feature from ROH, including the dominant women's world champion, Athena, the winner of the women's casino gauntlet match at AEW All in Texas, the first ever women's casino gauntlet match on pay-per-view in AEW. And Athena, the hometown villain, was the winner. And here she's coming now to Chicago with a guaranteed shot at the AEW Women's World Champion, which right now is Timeless Toni Storm, who just had an absolutely fantastic match in a battle of, in my opinion, two of the GOATs in women's wrestling and all of wrestling, two of the top stars, Mercedes Moné, the TBS champion, and the world champion, Timeless Toni Storm, who retained the title in a fantastic match at AEW All in Texas, which was an incredible show top to bottom. And that was one of the top matches, just a fantastic show we had. And it's going to all set up for a great night tonight on Wednesday Night Dynamite, tonight on TBS and HBO Max.
Brian, you got to get this app, man. You got to get the ROH. You got to get it, man.
You act like I don't have it.
I'm just you got to get it, Brian.
WatchROH.com, the Honor Club app. It's fantastic. There's so much great wrestling on it.
All right, put it down. No one wants your screenshot.
Got it. It's got it. It's great. There's great wrestling on it. And Tina defended the title after several years as champion. She retained the championship. Now she's got a guaranteed shot at the AEW Women's World title. She had a great match against Thunder Rosa as part of the big double main event, as well as the Ring of Honor World Champion Bandito retained the title in a classic match against Konosuke Takeshita an incredible match. The former AEW International Champion Takeshita heading to New Japan Pro Wrestling for the G1 Climax. And Takeshita is a great star in the world of wrestling, a former AEW International Champion, and came very close to winning the ROH World Championship from Bandito, who is having just an incredible run in 2025 all over the world in AEW, ROH, and in CMLL, where he's also become a top star, a favorite, and had great matches in Arena Mexico, including the recent AEW Grand Slam Mexico, which was a huge success for AEW, our most watched episode of Wednesday Night Dynamite in a very long time, in the past year, and then some in some of the key demographics in over a year. And one of the most successful events we've ever promoted in collaboration with our great partners, CMLL, the top Lucha Libre promotion and the oldest wrestling company in the world. CMLL, based in Mexico City, and AEW, we just made our debut in Mexico and have the great fans in Mexico supporting AEW, and great fans here in America that watch that show of Wednesday Night Dynamite Grand Slam Mexico on TBS and on HBO Max.
You know, one of the reasons why is we talked to Tony Khan here on Good Karma Wrestling, Jonathan and Brian with you. Don't forget AEW in Chicago, the A-Town, Brian, the Aragon Ballroom, July 16th, 17th, 23rd, 26th, 30th, and 31st, AEWTIX.com for tickets. You know why it was successful besides the wrestling? You know what, Tony? The reason why it was successful is because of a unique venue. Like a lot of American viewers have never seen the venue that you're in. And so I want to ask you about, you know, some of these unique venues. I think a lot of arenas, as you well know, around the country can be cookie cutter. You can't distinguish one from the other. But when you went to Boston, when you went to Cleveland, Sacramento, Phoenix, here at the Aragon Ballroom in Chicago, these are unique venues. And I think that's really cool for the viewer to see. Where are they? Boy, this crowd's hot. My God. So what went into that planning to be able to make that shift in that regard?
I think it's been really exciting. It's just a collaborative effort from the team. I really wanted to have Dynamite and Collision in some exciting venues, and that's a very astute point by you, Jonathan. We are running some really cool venues, including tonight here in Chicago, the Aragon Ballroom, starting this thing that's going to be so special with AEW here in Chicago for several weeks, celebrating AEW Dynamite and AEW Collision both being here. We're here twice a week for the next 3 weeks. You can get tickets to all the shows at AEWTIX.com or watch starting tonight AEW Wednesday Night Dynamite on TBS and HBO Max. These venues, including here in Chicago, the Hammerstein Ballroom in New York City.
Yeah.
You mentioned great venues, including Sacramento, Phoenix, Cincinnati has a very cool location that we'll be going back to again. And I think there's a number of other ones along the way too, like you said, that are very unique, intimate venues with packed crowds that are just on top of the ring. And that makes for really exciting viewing. We had a great home venue that we have run many times, Daly's Place. And now being back on the road, it's great to bring that same exciting energy where fans are right on top of the ring to all these packed houses.
Brian, ultimately, it's when as a viewer, you want to feel like you want to be there. It's like, well, I've never seen that before. I've never seen that venue before. Like, man, that crowd's hot. I want to be there. So that's, I think, what AEW provides. Yeah.
Yes. Whether it's Globe Life Field in Texas, our biggest crowd ever this past weekend, biggest crowd in 6 years of AEW was this past weekend, the biggest one we've ever had in North America at Globe Life Field, and our biggest crowds ever and most successful shows also have been in London. The great UK fans supporting AEW at Wembley Stadium for AEW All In, and now coming to a great home for us in Chicago, where we've had great pay-per-views, and we're going to have 3 weeks of great AEW TV, 2 shows a week, starting tonight here in Chicago, Wednesday Night Dynamite live on TBS and HBO Max tonight.
You know, the one low light of the weekend, the Adam Cole news comes out. He relinquishes the title, talks about his injury. How did that come to be, and what was that like backstage in that moment this weekend?
Well, it was really challenging. I had just come from the ROH show, and Adam Cole was planning to wrestle and defend the championship. And it was actually very early Saturday morning, technically. I was just getting to bed for a few hours. I was planning to sleep, and it didn't really work out that way because, unfortunately, we had to make major changes, and I had to spend the night really thinking about how to make it up to the fans and to treat Adam Cole with respect that he has earned and that he deserves. And I knew that it would be the right thing for Adam Cole, and it was what he wanted to do too, to go out and speak to the fans from his heart and explain that he wouldn't be able to wrestle. The only thing I disagreed with is one of the first things he said. I don't think at all that he let people down. I don't think anybody's hurt or while we're all sad, I think that Adam Cole, everyone knows, does his best. And if he could have wrestled, he would have gone out there. So even though we are all sad we don't get to see Adam Cole wrestle for a while, hopefully he will be able to return in some capacity, but definitely he needs time off after talking to him. And I made the call late night, early morning, Saturday, very early, just after I'd gotten back from the ROH pay-per-view event at the esports stadium. I was there late working and planning ahead to the pay-per-view the following afternoon. And then early in the morning, as I was planning to get a few hours of sleep, I had that conversation. It was a hard conversation, but I'm glad he told me the truth, that he just didn't feel well and he was having trouble sleeping. He didn't feel good and he was having just not feeling like it would be a good idea for him to wrestle. And I agreed with that. And it was the right thing to do to make the changes we made. And Adam Cole gave a great speech to the fans. They embraced him. He's a great popular star, beloved by the wrestlers and by the fans. He's not only been a top wrestler in every company he's been in, but he's been a leader in the locker room in every promotion that he's ever wrestled in. And Adam Cole's beloved in AEW and by the fans of AEW around the world, as we saw when he was embraced in the UK in front of 81,000 fans at Wembley Stadium, and on the huge original AEW All In, or here at AEW All In Texas, or even when we went to Grand Slam Mexico and the fans were all behind Adam Cole in Mexico City as the TNT champion. It was very fitting that he came out and spoke to the fans. Of course, he had to relinquish the TNT championship, but then it was great to see a longtime fan favorite, Dustin Rhodes, win after so many close chances to the TNT championship. We've seen Dustin come close against Lance Archer in the original tournament for the TNT title, and against great TNT champions that had defended the title against Dustin. And he had so many close calls against the late, great Mr. Brody Lee, possibly the greatest champion ever in AEW. The late, great Mr. Brody Lee defended the TNT title in September of 2020 against Dustin in Daly's Place in Jacksonville. Mm-hmm. Of course, former TNT champion Sammy Guevara, who was in this match as well and also wrestled with Dustin 3 times in 24 hours as part of the Ring of Honor tag team champions, and then both competing for the TNT title that Sammy has held 3 times, and Dustin ended up winning it for the first time ever. And Sammy had beaten Dustin in a championship match before in Charlotte. And also Christian Cage, one of the great TNT champions and one of the greatest wrestlers, in my opinion, of all time, also had defended the title last year against Dustin Rhodes on Wednesday Night Dynamite. So many times Dustin had come close challenging for the championship. It was very fitting. Finally, in his home state with his nephews and his partners, Sammy Guevara, of course, not on the winning end of this match, but there to see it. And the Von Erich boys there to celebrate and hoist Dustin Rhodes up along with his nephews on their shoulders to celebrate in Texas, one of the great wrestlers who's been a champion in so many great companies and one of my childhood heroes. I was so happy to see him have this moment. It was unexpected for many reasons, but in the wake of the very sad news about Adam Cole, I'm glad that we had a great moment, a storybook upset that nobody could have predicted. So Dustin Rhodes is now the TNT champion, and it's a really special thing. Dustin Rhodes is a great person. Talk about somebody who also is very respected in the locker room and has been a respected veteran in every locker room he's been in for decades, and one of the first wrestlers I ever saw when I was a young child, and somebody I've followed since I was a young boy across multiple promotions. And I'm glad now he's been a champion, not only a double champion in ROH, but now finally in AEW as the TNT champion. Dustin Rhodes, a man who wrestled when I was a child on the Turner Networks, challenging for the TV title on TBS, and of course later wrestling on TNT. I just think now, decades later, to have Dustin Rhodes, decades after he had wrestled on TBS and TNT, to come back as the TNT champion, that's a special storybook thing, and only in pro wrestling, and only with a man like Dustin Rhodes who's had such longevity. It's a special thing.
So, you know what, Tony? It's probably the most emotional segment in the history of AEW. Think about on one end with Adam Cole, right? Makes an announcement. The fans didn't know. And obviously we're crying and we're emotional about it because you can see the emotion on Adam Cole's face. The guys from Paragon, they're also emotional. And then on the other end, here's Dustin Rhodes, who probably was definitely not the favorite to win because of, like you mentioned, the workload from over the weekend. And he wins the championship and he's crying and his family comes in. It probably is in the most emotional segment that you've been able to put together. I know unforeseen circumstances on the front end, but on the back end, Dustin wins. I don't think we've ever seen that before.
No, it was an incredible thing. Certainly in the history of AEW pay-per-view, had to be one of the most emotional segments. I think the most emotional segments ever probably on television have come the tribute show to the late, great Mr. Brody Lee, the aforementioned legendary TNT champion who Dustin Rhodes had fought before for the title, and Mr. Brody Lee had retained the title on Wednesday Night Dynamite 5 years ago in Jacksonville. Certainly the Mr. Brody Lee tribute show, and our tribute to the late, great Jay Briscoe when Jay Lethal wrestled Mark Briscoe. That was a very emotional thing. Of course, Mark Briscoe will be part of a huge 6-man tag match tonight on Wednesday Night Dynamite. That was the beginning of Mark Briscoe in AEW. It came in a very emotional way. And I love Mark Briscoe, and I love his brother, the late, great Jay Briscoe, who I think about every day. It's really been very hard to lose those two great champions. Jay Briscoe, ROH Hall of Famer, and we paid great tribute to him in AEW. And of course, the greatest tribute, I think, ever in pro wrestling, the best tribute show to the greatest champion, the late, great Mr. Brody Lee, who we miss every day. And his legacy lives on through the TNT Championship. And of course, like I said, very fitting 5 years later that Dustin Rhodes would break through after he wrestled Mr. Brody Lee for the title, after he was in the semifinals of the original TNT title tournament. His brother, Cody Rhodes, the original TNT champion, nearly threw in the towel on Dustin, and Dustin grabbed the towel out of his hand and said no, and fought on against Lance Archer, who Cody ended up defeating in the finals to be the first champion. They're the first brothers ever to hold the same championship, singles championship in AEW. We've had great brother tag teams in AEW, but never two singles wrestlers holding the same title. But in this case, Dustin Rhodes also somebody with decades of legacy on the Turner Networks. Just a great storybook event that came after, as you said, a very emotional speech from the former TNT champion, Adam Cole, one of the most popular wrestlers in the AEW locker room and by the fans.
And Hood, now he's got us waiting patiently for our friend of show, Kyle Fletcher, to eventually get his big title win as well.
I know.
We're still waiting around for that.
I know. I know. He's been a guest on here 4 times, and he's a great representative for AEW. Yes. He's always says something. He's out of his mind.
He's a very exciting star. And he's a great, great wrestler, and he has a great future ahead of him. And he was supposed to challenge Adam Cole one-on-one. Unfortunately for Kyle Fletcher, the odds worked against him. He ended up in a 4-way match, and even though he wasn't pinned or defeated in the match, he did not leave as the TNT champion. So certainly that is something to keep an eye on as Kyle Fletcher continues to chase gold in AEW, and he's very focused on championships, including that TNT championship, and certainly going to be very upset with what happened at All in Texas. I know.
Tony, you got your booking sheet with you for Wednesday and Thursday? What? Give us something. Let's find out some of the matches.
And this is what I can tell you is, in addition to all the great moments we're going to capture and look at going back to AEW All in Texas, we're going to have great wrestling in Chicago starting tonight with the brand new AEW World Champion Hangman Page. And it's the first time we've seen that belt on Dynamite since last year. And Hangman Page has pulled the belt from the briefcase. He's the new champion, but he will stand across the ring from arguably the greatest world champion in AEW's history, the most decorated champion in wrestling today, the former AEW World Champion, Jon Moxley. And it will be Hangman Page, the world champion of AEW, teaming with 1/3 of the AEW World Trios champions, Powerhouse Hobbs, whose partner, Samoa Joe, was injured by the Death Riders after the Ops retained the title. and another man who has come to war with the Death Riders and has had a lot of interactions with them and some great matches, including one-on-one with Jon Moxley against the Death Riders, and that is Mark Briscoe, somebody who was in the Casino Gauntlet match and has chased the AEW World Championship, chased singles gold in AEW after being a part of one of the greatest tag teams ever in Ring of Honor. And now those three fan favorites, AEW World Champion Hangman Page, Mark Briscoe, and AEW World Trios Champion Powerhouse Hobbs, the three of them are going to come up together and stand tonight face-to-face, 3-on-3 against the Death Riders, Claudio Castagnoli, Wheeler Yuta, and the former AEW World Champion, the former six-time World Champion, Jon Moxley. Hangman and Mox standing opposite each other again in a huge trios match, 3-on-3 tonight. It's huge match and so many big events tonight on Wednesday Night Dynamite. And if you can't be there in the Aragon Ballroom tonight, there's standing room only seats, but I highly recommend checking it out tonight. It starts at 7 p.m. on TBS, Superstation TBS, and HBO Max.
As always, Tony, we appreciate the time. July 16th, 17th, 23rd, 26th, 30th, 31st. You have no excuse but not to be at the Aragon Ballroom for AEW Dynamite Collision and some sprinkles of ROH. Can you break a news? Will a Michael Oku be there? Will he be there? Because hopefully he will be, because I'm already going to wear my Michael Oku hat. So I'm definitely...
Michael Oku had a great match in the beginning opener of ROH Supercard of Honor, which was a great event, and
yes,
he had a great match with Hechicero. Michael Oku will be on TV again soon, wrestling Jay Lethal, and that's a match we've shot but haven't aired yet. We haven't we will have Michael Oku back very soon, and also AEW and ROH will be going to the UK for the Forbidden Door event, collaborating with New Japan Pro Wrestling, CMLL, great wrestlers from all over the world coming to the AEW New Japan Forbidden Door show, which will be in London next month.
Tony, as always, I appreciate the time. See this, bro? Get yourself a Michael Oku hat. He killed it. That first match on ROH, holy smokes.
He was great. And Michael Oku has a great future in wrestling.
Yeah.
And for fans who aren't familiar with him, check out the match he had with Will Ospreay in London a few years ago, last year, actually. It was a fantastic match. It's worth watching for sure. Speaking of Will Ospreay, one of the great wrestlers in the world.
As always, we appreciate your time on Good Karma Wrestling. Please come back.
Oh, absolutely. It's great to see you both. Thanks for having me, and excited about Wednesday Night Dynamite. AEW is on live tonight. Don't miss Wednesday Night Dynamite tonight, 7 p.m. on TBS, and you can stream it on HBO Max or watch it live on TBS, the Superstation.